How's it going, Kat? Just in time for today's gaming talk segment. Today's gaming talk segment is going to be a post-reveal interview with IGN and Todd Howard. And of course, we're talking about Starfield. We had a big reveal for Starfield on the Bethesda showcase on, was it the 12th? So that was only 2 days ago. Was it the 12th? And then a couple days later, IGN did an interview with Todd Howard, and there's some more information about Starfield out of this interview and some clarifications, and that's what we're going to look at today. And I think there's going to be a certain point here where we may pause the video if necessary, but we will also react to the entirety of the thing after the video is over. So let's get started.
Welcome to Summer of Gaming 2022. I'm Ryan McCaffrey here at IGN. I am always pleased to sit down, even if it's remotely over the phone, with Todd Howard, the game director on Starfield at Bethesda Game Studios. Todd, how are you, sir?
I'm great. We're all excited today after this weekend, and incredible response from everybody.
Well, that's actually where I wanted to start with you. So we're recording this the day after the showcase. And so were you following the community reaction? What was your reaction to the community reaction to the gameplay reveal?
Well, I'm always excited when nothing leaks, so that's usually where I start. The whole team obviously is spending years on the game, and then when you put it out there is this moment of how's everyone going to react. And I will say, the fans have been really incredible in the response to what we're doing and their support. So everyone on the team is just really overjoyed, and all that energy back to us is so much fuel in the tank to make this as good as it can be.
I just wanted to talk to you about a few follow-up questions I had, because I, like many people, have been very much looking forward to this game, and part of that is the scale and scope of this, Todd. That you seem to really want to drive that home in the presentation, the massive scale and scope of this project. You've got all these planets. You touched on 1,000 planets. I imagine you're going to have to procedurally generate a lot of those.
Yeah, look, I mean, we're pretty aware you throw that out near the end, people will go, what did you just say? And then they'll have a lot of questions on how that works. And we will probably deep dive into that in the future. Here's how we pull it off and how it feels. We ask ourselves in the games that we love to make and that we love to play, and what's great about video games, and you're going to step into these universes, you go through in your head all the things you would want to do in a game like that, and we try to say yes as much as possible. It was always for us, we like those kind of experiences. Could we?
Just looking again at some of these images, the look of the planets, I really like it. It looks more realistic relative to like No Man's Sky. No Man's Sky, we're going to be doing a lot of comparisons here between No Man's Sky in this game and Starfield. I like the look. I like the more gritty look. It looks more realistic to me on these images here. But they're talking about procedurally generated. So some of the planets are hard-coded and built with colonies and all this stuff going on. And there's a whole bunch of them that are procedurally generated. And Todd's trying to say, we've been doing that in other games as well. Anyone watching this on YouTube, the 3 people that watch me on YouTube, I am live streaming right now, so I do also read chat at the same time. Yeah, they're not going to be handmade planets, we know. You can't do that. They'll be procedurally generated, and it's like we thought already, that these other planets are there for you to go to and build bases, extract resources, which we already guessed that's what they would be for. And it's going to come out like that. So that's exactly working the way I expected. And it's kind of the same thing we would be doing effectively in No Man's Sky as well. Yeah, and it's going to be like it's a single player game, so procedurally generated, I'm okay with that. There's some other key factors though that have to go along with it. Okay, let's continue.
We eventually do one in space, because you know that's going to involve, in the way that we would want it, going to a lot of planets and being able to explore them in some way. So we do a lot of procedural generation, but I would keep in mind that we've always done that.
Right.
And it's a big part of Skyrim in terms of questing and some other things we do. We generate landscape using procedural systems, and so we've always kind of worked on it. And a planet by itself, if you think about it, is sort of, in a game concept, just one planet is infinitely big if you're going to do it in some realistic fashion. So once you're dealing with scale like that in procedural systems, the difference between, say, one planet that has some variation on it and 100 planets or 1,000 planets, it's actually not that big of a leap, if that makes sense, once you have good systems working for that. But I should also add that we have done more handcrafting in this game, like content-wise, than any game we've done. We're over 200,000 lines of dialogue, so we still do a lot of handcrafting. And if people just want to do like what they're used to in our games and follow a main quest and do the quest lines, you're gonna see what you'd kind of expect from us. But then you have this whole other part of, well, I'm just gonna wander this planet and it's gonna provide some gameplay and some random content and those kind of things, kind of like a Daggerfall would,
Right.
if you go way back. You know, there are a lot of ice balls in space, so that was one of our big design considerations on this game, is what's fun about an ice ball? And it's okay sometimes if ice balls aren't, it is what it is. You want to go land on that weird planet, check it out, and build an outpost, and live your life there, and watch the sunset because you like the view of the moons there. Like, we go for it. We love that stuff.
Well, similarly, I wanted to ask you about the space combat. You can build a ship and you can go battle in ship-to-ship combat in outer space. So when I saw that, I thought, well, that's really cool, but I did also get a little twinge of
Okay, they're going to talk about space combat. But I would be remiss if we didn't talk about what we're looking in front of us right now, which is going to be one of the really good positives in this game, and that is you're basically effectively building your own ship. Look at the thing on the right. Look at the cost. Look at the features that they built in. This is going to be a huge positive for this game, is what you're seeing in front of you right here. Look at all the different options for all the equipment. Cost, mass, look at everything that's happening here when you build your own ship. This to me is, and then look at the thing at the bottom too. This is going to be the bright spot. I consider this to be one of the big bright spots in this game, because when you have a game with all those planets, and if you're going to be able to build bases, and you're going to be able to run extractors to get materials, what are you going to do with all those materials? What are you going to do with all this stuff? There's got to be sinks for those. I think this is where a big part of your sinks are probably going to come from. Now, I don't know how you convert stuff into money and stuff like that. This is going to be one of the big positives for this game, is what you're going to be doing with your ships, building them, putting them together, upgrading them, and the way this system is for you to do this. Compare that again to No Man's Sky. No Man's Sky, you slot upgrades. But the ship itself, my understanding is procedurally generated. So you buy a ship that's already been created for you, and then you apply mods to it to make it stronger and better. To me, this is a bright spot. This is definitely a bright spot.
Fear that, well, I hope this isn't going to be something shallow like the going with the Mako on Mass Effect 1 and just roaming a bunch of mostly empty planets. So, can you talk a little bit about the depth of what we can look forward to with the space combat?
Sure. I would say, the two things that we started on the project is we had a good basis for tech and gameplay systems from Elder Scrolls and Fallout. We started the planet stuff, the procedural generation, and we started space combat. We want this to feel something unique. There's been a lot of space sims that we're fans of, and space shooters from the 90s. And if you look at it, you can see it in the video. Your ship has various power systems. A little bit of FTL there in terms of putting how much power into 3 different weapon systems. and then your engines and shields, and the grav drive is what lets you jump and sort of get out of some situations that you have to put power to. So there is some dogfighting. I have quotes up. We keep the pace fairly slow.
Okay. Oh, nice image here. Notice, he said there is some dogfighting, but we keep the pace pretty slow. So space combat will be somewhere between mech warriors. Hey now. Between mech warriors and mech games, where things are pretty slow and lumbering, and those hardcore dogfights. So you'll be able to react better, if you want to put it that way. In here, the space fights will go a little bit slower paced, and a lot of it is going to be driven by your build on your ship. So he talked about those things. You build your ship so that you can do your battles better, more damage and all that, which is what you expect. He's talked about shields and all this kind of stuff. So, like what Moonraven said, and you guys are talking about, so far, the starship building and the space fighting look like big winners. They're going to be big winners for this game based on what we know so far and what we've seen so far.
One of the games that I love that we sort of look at for pace is Mech Warrior, believe it or not.
Mech Warrior.
Nice. Good call back there.
Like that's probably a little bit slower, but in terms of systems and power and being able to line things up. Now it's a little bit faster than that, but you know what I mean, as opposed to a twitchy dogfighter. But it's not just dogfighting. Like
ships
the
look great.
Stuff includes, you see it in the video, you can dock with other ships, you can disable them, you can dock, you can board it. There's actually some quests that involve that. You can steal the ship. There's dialogue in space. There's star stations you can visit. There's smuggling. There's all the things that we would want. And we'll be showing some more of that later.
Good.
It's a good chunk of gameplay that we think is really fun when it comes to playing this type of sci-fi game.
Oh, you're getting me fired up, Todd. And one of the other things actually that really jumped out at me, that got me fired up from the gameplay reveal, was the character customization and the character creation. So many character backgrounds to choose from.
Smuggling.
Beast hunter, bouncer, chef, diplomat, gangster, Ronin. Those are some of the ones that jumped out at me. How many are in there, and what's your favorite that maybe you've been messing around in a build lately that's you've been having fun with?
I might get the number wrong, Ryan. Maybe there's 20.
Okay.
We add or remove.
Yeah.
And that really is, think of it like a class kind of. It's a start.
Right.
Here are your starting skills. There is some dialogue that works into that choice, and some other options in the game based on what you picked.
Pretty good.
Here you spend some time as a diplomat. Having a way with words might prove useful.
I mean, I think the chef is kind of funny, to be honest, which is why it starts the video. I love these starting skills of like astronomy and knives.
Oh.
And wellness. So there's some things like that that's a bit more interesting role-playing outside of your usual, I just shoot people. So we do have some really nice role-playing systems for some other options in terms of dialogue and crafting, being able to manipulate people, those kind of things, leadership, that I think are pretty interesting when it comes to the content we have.
Something else that's always memorable in your games and your team's games is that first moment when you come out of, whether it's a jail cell or a cave or whatever it is, a vault, and you see the game world for the very first time. Is there a handcrafted moment like that in Starfield, given that there are many worlds?
There is. Look, the way the game starts is pretty set for everybody.
Yeah.
So we definitely have what we call the step out moment, and we probably have a few of them giving the scale of the game. The early ones are the ones that we do spend time on to make sure it's impactful when you finally get to see a surface of the planet or what that planet looks like from space.
Something else that jumped out at me from the gameplay was New Atlantis, that city. It reminded me of maybe the Citadel on Mass Effect 1, or to go back to one of your games, the Imperial City from Oblivion. What are some of the things we can do in there? Because it seems like a place that you're going to want to go back to time and again.
Yeah, we have 4 main cities in the game, and New Atlantis is easily the biggest city in the game and the biggest city we've ever built. Kind of the capital here in the game, and it has all the services you would expect, and you can work on your ship there. The factions touch that, but that's also the headquarters for Constellation, which is the faction that you join.
Right.
That is the last group of space explorers, kind of this NASA meets Indiana Jones meets the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. And that's really where the main quest goes through that group, so that's where they're headquartered.
15 minutes is a lot of time in a showcase, but it's not really a lot of time to go over everything in something as vast as what Starfield appears to be. So I wanted to ask you about the main story. Can you talk a little bit more about that? Because that's something that I feel like wasn't really touched on in the video. I mean, we know about Constellation and you're joining, but what's sort of the central conflict? Can you kind of set the game up for us a little bit?
Yeah, we touch on it a little bit in the demo, where Constellation, who's trying to they're still exploring and figuring out the mysteries of the universe, and they also look for, old Earth artifacts. You'll see that in some of the stuff we hint at in the exploration. And then
Guy looks like me.
They've uncovered some of these artifacts that they don't know their origin, and that's the quest you kind of start on.
And speaking of the main quest, role-playing gamers tend to be very obsessed with how long the game is. With your games, there's never been a shortage of things to do. Can we expect the main story to be roughly the same length, kind of hours-wise, as we've seen from your previous games? Or is that leveling up too, along with the scope of everything else in Starfield?
We usually aim for around that length if you look at our previous games, but this one's ending up a little bit longer, and we may tune that some still. It's more quests, so it might be 20% more than our previous ones. So if you say, and your mileage may vary, people generally don't straight line it, but if our previous ones, if we aimed for, let's say, a 25-hour main quest, this one might be in the 30s, maybe 40 just for the main quest. But
yeah,
obviously all of the other quests and faction lines and everything else we have here, there's quite a bit there, and we've sort of learned that people do play our games for a really, really long time. They're still playing Skyrim, not straight for 10 years, but they leave it and they come back, and there's extra content. And certainly we're going to be doing extra content for this game, and we love our modding community.
Mods.
We actually think this game for our modding community is going to be a dream, because there's so much they could do.
Okay.
So we think that's a great thing that we love as well.
You always aim for these big games, but you were talking about it at the beginning of our conversation that you tried to say yes to everything, to everybody's ideas for this. Do you do that in part because, like, if we take a realistic look at your studio and you personally, you've got 3 major game franchises under your direct control with the Elder Scrolls and Fallout and now Starfield. So did you take any kind of different approach to Starfield, knowing that realistically you probably won't be able to physically get around to making another one for at least 5 years, and probably more like 10, given that you're moving on to Elder Scrolls 6 after this, and presumably Fallout might be in the future down the road as well?
Well, I wouldn't say we say yes because we don't think we'll get another shot for a decade. We just think what we'd want to do in a game, and how can we make that work the best it can be. And there are some things that we don't do intentionally to say, is that really where we want to spend the time? What's going to be impactful? One for Starfield people have asked is, well, can you fly the ship straight down to the planet? No.
Did you hear what he just said? Did I catch this correctly? Can you fly your ship directly down to the planet? No. Did I get that correctly?
You make that work the best it can be. And there are some things that we don't do intentionally to say, is that really where we want to spend the time? What's going to be impactful? One for Starfield people have asked is, well, can you fly the ship straight down to the planet? No. we decided early in the project that the on surface is one reality, and then when you're in space is another reality. And
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. The surface of the planet is one reality. Space is another reality. Now, there's two things. There's being in space and flying down to the planet. And he said no. Now, the other part of that equation is, what if you're on the planet and you're going to go out into space? Are you able to lift off and see the atmosphere?
Welcome to WKALI Radio.
Thanks for the follow, Nazba. So he said there are two separate realities. Space is one reality and the planet is the other. We know for sure. He said, you are not going to be able to go from space and fly down into the atmosphere and land where you want to. Is that what he just said? The other way is, when you're in your spaceship and you want to go out into space, are you able to lift off your ship, go into the atmosphere, and start to see the heavens as you're moving your way up? How do you get from other points on the planet? So once you're on the planet, I think you could probably get in your spaceship and traverse the planet. But you're not going into space? But it's creating other questions. He said they are two realities. He said, if you're in space, you're not going to be flying down into the atmosphere and landing on the planet. Is that not what he just said? I think you can go everywhere on the planet, but it's not like No Man's Sky. But there is a loading screen. If that is the case, it is a massive disappointment. That's why I'm focusing in on this. To me, this is like, you know what it reminds me of? If this is true, notice how he said realities. He didn't say instances, because it's probably a bad word. So if I'm in space and I want to go to a planet, there's probably an animation that's going to take place, which is probably that rocket ship landing. That's probably an animation. So every time I go to a planet, there's going to be an animation of me landing on the planet. I don't actually get to fly the ship myself and break atmosphere and watch the clouds dissipate. Like, if anyone plays No Man's Sky, you know what I'm talking about. That kind of immersion. You don't know what you're getting yourself into as you land on a new planet. If that's true, we got a big problem here. A big problem. Again, there may be other people that are providing commentary on this game. And I don't know how else to say it, but they're not actually gamers. They're people that stream a lot and they're big streamers and they're YouTubers that are just pounding out the next video. That don't dig into this kind of stuff like we do, because we actually play video games here. That is a huge problem. When you're on the planet and you need to go to space, how is that going to work? If I'm traveling on the planet once I'm there, is there some cap at the ceiling that I can't hit to get to another location? You know what this would be like, I think? It would be like one of my problems with Elder Scrolls Online, where they come out with a new expansion, like Somerset, which is an island. A new island. And you know what I'm thinking in my mind? I'm thinking, wow, this would be a great opportunity for you to implement an amazing boat crafting system so that I could take my own boat and take it to that island. No. You're going to go down to this little dock and you're going to interact with this little raft and you're going to get instanced over to the island. It's the same thing if that's the way this is going to work. And it sucks. This is bad. Two realities, one in space and one on the planet. Now I told you, so there's some good stuff here. But to me, this takes away from the immersion. We're going to follow this closer. We're going to find out, am I the only one? No one watches my frickin' videos. Am I the only one that's going to key in on this? Because we actually play video games here on this channel. I don't spend all my day editing videos. We play No Man's Sky every day for 7 weeks, guys. If Sean Murray sees this right now, if Sean Murray saw this 10-second audio clip, he's probably licking his lips right now. Let's continue on. This is almost over. And then we'll wrap it up.
And if you try to like really spend a lot of time engineering the in-between, like that segue, you're just spending a lot of time that's really just not that important to the player. So let's
If you try to engineer the segue between space and the planet, it's not important to the players. That's what he just said. I know, it's like, what? You make videos? Exactly. He just said it's not important to the players. Todd knows what's important to the players. If you take time engineering the segue between planets and space, it's not important. Where's my immersion when I want to go land on planets? Where's the immersion? It's when you go to a new planet that's procedurally generated, you don't know what's going on as you break through the clouds. But apparently, according to Todd, it's not important. They've been working on this game 6.5 years already. 6.5 years. And they can't manage to put in the quote-unquote segue between space and the planet. And who knows, maybe the planet and space as well. That is going to be a huge problem. And I don't think other people are going to see that. We may be the first. We may be the first to see what a problem that is going to be.
let's make sure it's awesome when you're on the surface and awesome when you're in space, and those realities look as good as they can be.
We want to make sure that we want to put our effort into the awesomeness when you're on the planet and the awesomeness when you're in space. The segue between them is not important. You want to go land on that planet, it's probably going to come up with some kind of animation. Maybe you pick it from a map. You know what? I don't know. And then an animation starts happening. You know, it's a problem. Guys, I don't know yet how big of a problem it is. It depends on what the other features are that are in the game to make up for it. I'm not gonna completely throw shade on this. But after 6.5 years, why didn't anyone there at your meeting stand up and say something? To say, can we try? Can we please try? People are in their ship, they want to come down into the atmosphere and land on this planet. Can we try? We'll see, but this is a red flag for me. I mean, it's not the end of the world, but I don't like this. I don't like it. In No Man's Sky, one of the big things for me was coming into that atmosphere, and then seeing, coming through the clouds and saying, "Oh my God, what is this?" And then when you leave, you start exiting the atmosphere. You start seeing the clouds dissipate. There's the stars, and then you go where you want, you know. And then you set up your base, and then you can do fast travel. Once you set up your base on a planet, then you go and you interact with a station. Then you fast travel, but you got to go to the planet first. You got to go to the planet first and set up a base. So I think No Man's Sky has it right in that respect. And who else? Leon, thanks for coming today. I'll read up on chat. We're making a video right now, and I'll check up on chat afterwards. How does Star Citizen work? Does Star Citizen, do you just instance to the planet on Star Citizen? You know what I mean? Or do you come into the atmosphere and land your ship in Star Citizen? I don't know. Let's finish up this video, and we'll wrap up our final thoughts for today's video.
Play as good as they can be for those realities. But the other thing you said, yes, Elder Scrolls 6 is is in pre-production, and we're going
Elder Scrolls 6 is in pre-production.
to be doing Fallout 5 after that.
Okay? A lot of information here right at the end of their video. Elder Scrolls 6 is in pre-production, and Fallout 5 is coming after that. And believe me, Fallout 5 is not going to be an online game. Trust me on that one. I think we can be safe in saying that. So Fallout 5 is after. Okay, let's finish this up.
So our slate's pretty full going forward for a while. We have some other projects that we look at from time to time as well, but they do take a while. I wish they came out faster. I really do. We're trying as hard as we can, but we want them to just be as best as they could be for everybody.
Well, Todd, I look forward to learning a lot more about Starfield and, most importantly, playing Starfield at some point between now and this time next year, if all goes well. Todd, thank you as always for your time. I really appreciate it.
If all goes well.
I appreciate it, and thanks for all the support everybody's given us, and the folks at IGN. You guys did a great job yesterday as well. So just excited for the whole industry, everything that's going on, and Xbox has been, I have to just say, this is the first game we've done under that, and they've just been incredible partners with us to make this the best it can be.
What was that right at the end? Is there an animation there? Like when you're moving through the realities, is there an animation? So that's the video there, and if you're watching this on YouTube, I will provide a direct link to this video. If you haven't seen it, if you don't know where to go, I'll provide a direct link so that you can watch this for yourself if you'd like to. Okay, I'm going to read chat now. Let's see. Warp animation, that's what I'm thinking, Nazba. It's just an animation. But some of the video here is showing ships lift off, ships go. I thought, hey, that's me inside the ship. I go wherever I want. Didn't Todd say go where you want, do what you want, play how you want? So it's going to be an animation to go between Earth and space. Maybe you do lift off your ship, but then the animation takes over. Something like that. If planet to space and space to planet is not seamless, that's a big issue. Todd just said it's not a big deal. Exactly. PC gamers want full and complex games. Who do you pretend to... This is called Starfield, right? This is called Starfield. So it is it's a space game to some degree. Let's see... he decides for us what we like. For Christ's sake, that's exactly what I said in the past, but I never went online, a waste of opportunity. In Starfield, I guess sky really is the limit. Yeah, I don't know how I think just an animation's going to take over or something. I have no idea. How is it possible for you to be on a planet? You get into this complex machine. You have a full crew. You have all these controls in front of you. And then you say, well, I want to go to Alpha Centauri now. And then I want to go to space. You got to go to space before you can get Alpha Centauri, maybe? I don't know. And then an animation takes over? You know what I'm saying?
Like that.
So, I don't know. To me, is anyone going to be talking about this today? Yeah, Church, it's okay, guys. You guys, we'll keep an eye on this. Leon says the transition of space to planet is a big disappointment as a space game. For me, as anybody else who gets me really worried, is the 1,000 planets. Well, yeah, they are. Most of them are procedurally generated. And what it makes a Bethesda game great. Yeah, and they do have some handmade planets, but the procedurally generated ones will be places where we're going to go, put bases down, and start doing extractions and stuff to mine for minerals, to work on all our upgrades. The spaceship building is probably the big bright spot here that I saw today. Again, space battles and then your spaceship building. But they have decided that the segue between land and space to land is not important. And they would be too much, don't want to have to engineer that. So there are two separate realities. And that is a big, big thing for people to possibly discuss. After playing a game like No Man's Sky, part of my immersion is when I do come into the atmosphere of a planet. So what are we looking at here? We're watching these ships land. Is this just an animation? I don't even know anymore. I guess it's an old engine. Yeah, maybe that has something to do with it. Yeah, I don't know, Ghost. Thanks for coming in. To me, when I saw this, I'm just like, wait a minute. You know, wait a minute. Now, I love this stuff right here that they're showing. This is great. This is great. I need to decide when the time comes to put my money on the table. Am I okay with what they do? Of course I'm going to buy the game. But look at this. Look at the complex ship. Look at all the controls. So is that an animation? Was that the animation to get to space, what they just showed? Instead of me, well, what the hell is this? I've got all these fancy controls and all this stuff. I need thruster launchers and stuff going. No, it's just going to turn into an animation. People, I think, guys, maybe we're in early on this. I think people are going to have a problem with this. I am. I don't like it. Great. Let's see. Let's get caught up a check related here. And I'll have to decide later where I'm going to end this in terms of putting this to YouTube. So we'll probably continue the discussion here on the stream. If you're on YouTube, I'll put a link to my Twitch channel there if you ever want to come in and visit. We do gameplay, and then we do gaming talk as well. The space combat looks great. It's not a landing simulator. Yeah, this ain't a landing simulator. There, that's it. Hey, problem solved. Problem solved. This ain't a landing simulator. Come on. Problem solved. Hey, guys, this looks beautiful to me. Oh, this looks great. You know, why don't you just go the extra step? You were working on the frickin' thing for 7 years. Go the extra step. Thanks, Cliche, for coming in. I appreciate it. And we'll see what kind of a Debbie Downer that is. But there's some good takeaways here from today's video, and then there's the one big negative so far that I see. But of course, we got to play it to find out. Yeah, and then we'll wait for mods, but I don't think we'll see what's going on. The looks good. I mean, everything looks good. That they just didn't want to fully immerse you, I guess. What happens when you take off from a planet? I think they actually showed the animation of what happens. It shows an animation of your ship leaving the planet, and then the next thing you know, you're in space. You're not doing it yourself. Same thing with landing. So there is the big red flag so far that I see. Everything else to me looks good. They can always improve the UI if they want to. You could see a lot of Fallout 4 stuff in here with picking stuff, RPers and stuff. RPers don't care about landing. They want all these other things. Diplomacy, being able to convince other people of things. There's a lot of RP in their games. Actually, Fallout 4 has a lot of RP. Another thing that's missing here are exocraft. Where's the exocraft on the planet? Still no discussion of the exocraft. How do you move around on a planet once you're there? He said those worlds are fully explorable. So I didn't see anything about exocraft. Unless you get on the back of your companion and he flies you around, I don't know. This looks pretty crappy here, the way you mine for minerals, but we'll have to wait and see about that. This game has some stuff in here that makes it look like it is in fact 6 years old. But being able to build your own ship is the huge benefit here. The space battle looks really good. The gritty looking environments look really good. Hopefully we can set up bases for set it and forget it on planets to extract resources so that we can make money and do things, and a lot of puzzles, which they're known for. So it's not a deep, then it just becomes, it's not a deep space game. It's Skyrim and Fallout in space. I don't know. We'll see. The combat looks pretty good to me. Yeah, we'll see about the combat on the planet. And I need to see the mods for the weapons. They're going to be better explosions and stuff like that. My hype level for Starfield dropped a little bit today after watching this video, but it also picked up in some areas. And like I was talking about earlier, this is an opportunity for Sean Murray to look at something like this and to use it to his benefit, because No Man's Sky fully, you fully land, you enter in atmospheres, and you fully full exocraft systems, and you lift off and you go up into space without an animation. Once your base is down on a procedurally generated planet, let's say, then you can go ahead and use portals to transfer back immediately. But anyway, but No Man's Sky is non-playable for me because it's again one of those games that's a mile wide and an inch deep. They have a lot of stuff they could do over there. They really did build out these planets. There's a lot of nice looking cities and environments, so that's good. So my problem that I saw today, maybe there's so many good things here that'll make up for it that I won't care. But that's one of the things I just wanted to make sure to highlight today. So if you're still here watching on YouTube, thank you for watching. And if you're new to the YouTube channel, I'm going to be covering Starfield in depth, in addition to occasionally making videos for Satisfactory and No Man's Sky. Those are the big 3 games for me. If you think that's good for you and you haven't subbed to this YouTube channel, by all means, click that button. Smash that button. Thank you guys on YouTube. Have a great day.